Hello, I'm back again. Welcome back to SmartCatalog. This is the third of 5 videos, and this is the last video about editing. In this video, we'll be talking about editing programs and courses, which is different than like any other narrative item, like academic progress, like things like those basic front page sort of narrative elements. But we are going to be talking about what it's like to edit a program, edit a course, and even adding a course if you completed the curriculum approval process. So hang on for the ride. You're not going to see my face the whole time. I'm going to actually present my screen, and we're going to jump right into it. So I'm going to click on that, do the thing, hide the message, and hide my face. So you should be seeing my screen. We're going to hop right over to where we left off on the last video. If you watched our basic editing video, we did go into the bioethics certificate, which is technically a program. And the reason for that is because it does have an example of a title field. Every item in SmartCatalog has a title field, and it has an example of a content field, which is where we got the rich text editor. So if you are curious about how to edit the text elements of your programs and courses, then definitely check out our second video on basic editing tips in SmartCatalog. But just to catch you up to speed, I typed in this text here, we previewed the page, and I also saved my changes. So technically, this will now appear in the workbox as something to be pushed forward because I saved the changes. We'll be talking more about the workbox in the next video, but I just wanted to let you know where we're at with this specific item. Excuse me. So we talked about programs in our first video, and we talked about courses in that first video as well. So just as a recap, programs and courses have narrative fields and special fields, just like we talked about in the first video. For example, programs have required course tables in which you specify which courses are needed to complete a program. These should already be pre-filled from the last catalog, but if they are in any way different this time around, the curriculum approval process may be needed, so contact registrar, but this time around, you know, if the things are different, then this video will show you how to change the required courses. And courses, on the other hand, have course names, subject codes, and other fields that are specific to course items. So in this video, we'll talk about editing those programs and those courses, and what their special fields entail and how to fill them out. So first things first, we're going to talk about programs, which is what this bioethics certificate technically is. And a program, as you may recall, is categorized by its special structure. So we have our program name, and then we have the degree requirement folder that holds all of the degree requirement lists. So even though I say degree, it's really program, a minor and a certificate, and a bachelor's degree will all count as programs. So you do need to edit all of these pages separately because even though this bioethics certificate page has just my text from the last video, if we preview it by going to the Publish tab and clicking Preview, it actually shows us that all of the pages below it, so our bioethics certificate program folder and our required lists, are already on this page. So I didn't need that text. I added it because I thought there was nothing here, but there is all of the information from those other pages. So it's always important to preview your pages before you start editing so that you know exactly what it looks like to the public. Like, this is what it's going to look like. So even here, you can tell that these are, you know, content fields, text fields. And then when you get to here, these are actually course tables. And you can see that these course tables have embedded links to those courses so that you can see the descriptions and other information about the courses. So it's very important to keep the courses edited correctly so that when people click on it, they get the right information. And it's important to remember that the program encapsulates all of its folders and requirement lists into its main page. So keep those things in mind. So, like I said, previewing is very important for that reason, but also there are a couple different types of text boxes to keep in mind, and if you type in text, you want to make sure you know where it's going. So for example, in this program page, our bioethics certificate page, we have the content box, which is just your basic text box. You can tell that when we preview it, it's above the certificate program information from the degree requirement folder. So it goes right above. So that's something to keep in mind. But then there's also bottom content / footnote, which means it goes all the way to the bottom of the page. So below everything that's here, which is kind of indicated by the name footnote. But that's very important to keep in mind as well. If I clicked Show Editor here, I could add text to that bottom content. So I'm going to add something that you probably wouldn't add to a catalog because it is biased. It's a great program. I just want to show you what the text looks like. So now if I preview it again, you do need to do this and save your changes before you can see the updated view. Now I have my content box, which was above everything else. And then if I scroll down, our bottom content is right below that italicized text. So it's good to keep in mind where these things fall. So you could always put in some test text if you want to make sure that it's where you want it to go. And if you actually don't like that text and where it is, you can always go back into the editor and just backspace it, accept your changes, and save it one more time. So now if I were to preview one more time, I could come back in here and the text is gone. So it's a good way to kind of suss out where the text lands on the page because you don't want it to look clunky. You want it to look as nice as possible. So that's content, which is this top one that I put text in already, and bottom content. If we go into our degree requirement folders, we'll actually see content again, and that goes right below the content from the program page because it is nested within the program page. And then if you scroll down below that, there is bottom content one more time. So if I put bottom content here, it stands to reason that it would be above the content or above the bottom content from the program. So that's just something to keep in mind. If we go to the requirement list, we also have a couple more text boxes. We have requirement narrative, which actually places this text as like the intro to the requirements table. So if I clicked back on my preview, this is a requirements table, and this is actually one requirements list. As you can tell back in SmartCatalog, it's called 2 required courses of 6 credits, which is what this is right here. So it would put the text right above, but right below this content from the degree requirement folder, because it is nested within that folder. So the text would go right above where it says 2 required courses, and it would act as a sort of introduction to the courses. So for example, if I were to lock and edit this, as you must always do when you go to edit something, and I clicked Show Editor, I can type something very basic like these courses. I'm going to delete this because it's not going to look good, but that'll be our requirement narrative. And then our requirement note is actually what appears below the table and acts as the text extension to that table. Please complete the above. There would definitely be better information that you can put in here, but because I'm not academically swayed, I don't have much to provide, but I do want to show you where the text lands on the page. So those are the 2 special text boxes for requirement lists, and that is requirement narrative, which goes above the table of courses, and requirement note, which goes below the table. So if I save this, and actually if I just refresh this page, it should show us because it's a preview page. It should show me. I put please complete the above as our requirement note, and it is italicized. And then our requirement narrative is right above that table. So they kind of sandwich the class or course requirement table here. So just keep that in mind. I'm going to delete this text because it is not useful to anybody, but it's useful in that it shows you where the text does land. So I'm going to delete this text, accept my changes, and save, as you always should do. Accept your text changes and save them. So those are the 4 different types of text boxes. It does seem a little confusing, but pretty much just remember that if you're doing a requirement list, which is the furthest you can go in a program, they're going to be surrounding their course boxes. or their course tables. So all of their requirement notes and narratives are going to surround their own little boxes. And then when you go to the degree requirement folder, which is the green folder, any text in the content will be below any text from the program content because it is within this degree requirement folder. And then any bottom content will be right below the last course table. So you can see this text right here is probably the requirement note for this capstone study requirement. And then bottom content for the degree requirement folder would go below this. And then bottom content from the program itself would go below that. So it kind of sandwiches together based on what is the parent and what are the children, subjects, and items. Hopefully that all makes sense. Okay, so that is the text elements of programs. It gets a little dicey, but as long as you preview your pages, you'll be able to see where everything hits and where you want it to land on the page. So very important to keep in mind. And like I've said in the previous video, if you are worried about like one little mistake getting published, it has to go through several levels of approval and review before it gets published. So hopefully it will get caught before then. Or you could always let your reviewer know of the item or thing you're worried about. So now in this second element of our program editing, we should look at the course list, which is specific to required course lists because, of course, you want to list what is required. So they are only in these green checkbox iconed items, and they look like this at the bottom of the editing area. It says course list, and then course list, the courses that will be displayed as requirements for a degree. And then there's a little edit button beneath it. So if you click edit, it opens up two columns. On the left is the all column where you can find your courses, and on the right is the selected column, so the selected courses that will appear on the catalog page. So just like with the content tree, you want to expand to the catalog. So we have Marywood University, 2020, 2021, undergraduate, but then the courses are actually housed in their own folder, as we've discussed in previous videos. So if you click on that arrow, you'll see all the subjects for everything that we offer on campus. You scroll all the way down to your desired subject, so philosophy in this case, and then you get to look at course levels. So I can go to the 200 level, highlight a course, and click the left arrow up here, the one that's pointing to the right. I said left, I meant right. So make sure it's highlighted on the left, click this top arrow to add it to the selected, and this will then appear in the course list table on the catalog. Likewise, if there's something you want to remove from the catalog list, you can then highlight it on the right and click the bottom arrow to bring it back. So I only want these two courses, but I wanted to show you what it looks like when you take a course and move it over, and when you take a course and send it back. So then you would just scroll down and click OK when you're done, and then the courses will be reflected here. And like I said before, on this preview page, they appear in tables. And in these tables, they provide the credit, the name of the course, and also a link to the course. So you can click on this link to then see the description of the course, how many credits it's worth, and then actually a link to see the catalog page for the course. So it's very important to also edit your courses if they are incorrect. So all that being said, I believe we did cover programs in a pretty good way. So we're going to go over to courses. And before we do that, make sure to save. Always save. Even if you're not sure that you saved, or even if you're definitely sure that you did, always click save. So now I'm going to go down to the course folder so I can look at the philosophy courses and make sure that they're up to snuff. So if I scroll down in my content tree, you will see the blue folder that indicates courses. Click on the black arrow to expand it, and just like we did in the course list table, find your subject, expand the subject, and then expand your desired level. So because this two required courses for the certificate of bioethics includes 113, I'm going to click on 113 just to make sure that it looks good, so that if anyone's clicking on the actual course, when they're looking at the bioethics program, they can make sure that it's the right the right description. You want to make sure they're reading the right thing. So if you're wanting to edit a course, you lock and edit just like you do with everything else. And here you can change the course name, the course number, and there's a course description as well. And we have subject name and subject code. Those are pretty much the required, as you can tell by the blankness of the other fields. Notes is also an option, but really all people fill out is the maybe department and the school code, school description, things that tell the person where this course actually lives. So we have our name, which is Introduction to Philosophy, the number, which is 113. We have our description, and then subject name is philosophy, and the code is the shortened version of that subject. And we scroll down, and we have our department code, which is the abbreviation of Philosophy Religious Studies, our school code, which is CAS for College of Arts and Sciences. Now I can also preview a course page, so I can see what it looks like. This is what someone would see if they clicked on Navigate to Course page when they see it on a program page. So for example, you can see your description here, but they can also see it in the little pop-up that came up that we previously saw. So this is the course page. That's pretty much all it has. And for the most part, all of the descriptions for these courses will probably already be inputted from the previous catalog, but we just want you to make sure that it looks correct. So just like with any other text field, you would click on Show Editor to then edit the text. So if you had anything else to add, or if you had any websites to reference, you could do so right here in this rich text editor. Just make sure you accept your changes and save when you're done. And that's pretty much how to edit a course that already exists. But say you completed the curriculum approval process and you want to add a new course. So if you clicked on your 100 level, say I wanted to add a new philosophy course in the 100 level, you would expand to that level and then right-click it, say Insert, and then Course. So doing that actually starts the process immediately. So if we're entering a name for the new item, that would be, it's specially formatted, and it's formatted like PHIL and then the course number. So you want your subject code and then the number separated by a single space. So I'll do Philosophy 150 and click OK. This opens up our new course page. At the top, it says course name is Phil 150, which is something you should change immediately. The course name, as you saw in Phil 113, is actually the textual name of the course. So Phil 150, we're actually going to change to Philosophy of Emotion. Even though I know that's a 400 level course, I'm just going to put something in there. I'm going to delete this at a later time. And then the course number would then be 150. If you need to check what each field should contain, click on your other courses. I can save my changes, sure. Just go to your other courses and see how they are filled out. So I can see my Phil 113 has 113 as the course number. The course name is text. If I go down to subject name, that's where they put the subject, and then the code goes down there as well. So I have our text name, our course number, our subject is philosophy, our subject code is PHIL. Everything else is optional, though you may want to check with your chair or registrar to make sure that they don't want anything else filled out. And then you come down to department code. I'm pretty sure it was PHRST, though I will go back to 113 to double check. Yep, PHRST. And then Philosophy Religious Studies. Then our school code, CAS, College of Arts and Sciences. So that's pretty much all you need to fill out, as well as the description. And if you're unsure if you need to fill out anything else, definitely go into your other courses and double check. So these different areas like credit hours, like you'd fill out 3 because it's 3 credit hours. Or if it's less, you put less. If it's more, you put more. Requisites, are there any prerequisites to this? Then you go into cross-listing. Is it cross-listed with anything? So make sure to check your other courses that you know have prerequisites or you know are cross-listed to see how they are set up in the catalog, because they have been copied over from last year's catalog, so they should be largely accurate. So that's just something to keep in mind. When you're doing course editing, especially if you're adding a new course after being approved through the curriculum approval process, make sure that you're double checking it with your other established courses to make sure all the correct fields are filled out. So that's pretty much the program and course editing process. It's really not too hard. You just fill out the fields as they come in. And for established courses and programs, just review the content that's already there, just to make sure it's correct. That's pretty much all I have. So if you have any additional questions, technical-wise, like how things work in SmartCatalog, email the help desk, and it'll get to me, and I'll hopefully be able to answer you. And then if you have any questions about the curriculum approval process or the catalog in general, definitely get in contact with the registrar's office. Thank you for joining us for this third video, and the next ones will focus on the workbox. So thanks for watching.